the scale. So I'm going to start by opening up on the first part, which is let's talk about the topic itself. Let's talk about the visual, virtual, digital space and how visual communication interacts with it. I'll start with Professor Banerjee. One of the areas that has been impacted on a massive scale during the pandemic is education. You teach one of the most advanced courses, Immersive Media Design. What are the big shifts that you see in education with respect to both teaching and learning?
Thanks, Shanoo. Thanks for being a part of this conversation and this panel. Yeah, as you said, after the pandemic, I think the whole gamut of education, it has changed, and it's actually paradigm shift. Paradigm shift because the way it has been teaching, it has become learning now. All the faculties, all the teacher. Now, I don't say that student should be called as a student. They are actually learners, and the whole right from school education to higher education or design education to any other field, the the process of learning, it has been changed with the students. So now the learners are become like, it is beyond the wall. There's no wall for the classroom, and it is like anytime, anywhere one can learn, right? And everything, the shifting from the way, like we talking about education system, which has been there as a ages, it is almost similar. There's not much changes, but now people have started looking into it. They're also trying to making it a different way how to do this thing, because there's a process of coming for collaboration, co-teaching, co-guiding. Because as I say, when we teach any session and take, we have to plan. We have to plan for in making the students engage. The learners has to be engaged, because as far as my understanding and I whatever experienced, more than 1.5 hours, nobody can pay attention to the screen, because right now it's all screen. What we are seeing in the mobile, or what we are seeing in the laptop, or we are seeing in the system. So as a continuously 1.5 hours is too much. So the faculty has to make certain way that it has to be engaging as well as interactive. We are using the different tools now, and the tools is actually the major thing for the coming years, which is going to shape the dynamics of the teaching, dynamics of the syllabus, because now we are also concerned that it has to be customized oriented to the students. It has to be customized oriented that how learners want to learn.
So let me
we
stop
are
you there.
looking
In fact, sorry, let me interject here.
Yeah.
What I understand, therefore, is definitely challenging times both for the learners as well as for the teachers, and planning and engagement has become important, as well as you were talking about tools. So let's talk about immersive media design. What comes to my mind, is when you say immersive media design is creating environments almost to live an alternate life in. How does your course combine physical, virtual, and digital? And how do you ensure technologies like VR are not a gimmick, but they are feasible, they are desirable? Can you tell us about this?
Yes, sure. So what is we are actually now in the industry 4.0, right? It's all networking, IoT, Internet of Things, network. So in this industry 4, we are surrounded by so much data, and data is actually bundle of knowledge, and it's so many things are surrounded with us, and it's become like a disruptive. The you have to have a manage to the knowledge, you have to manage the data, and that also you have to see how we can use this technology, because the technology is coming day by day, in very progressively. So now, what I'm actually understand from the people from the engaging part, because that becomes the experience when the data you have to manage, and that experience can come how you're engaging your user. So I must say that technology is technology. When you have any proposal of, like, business proposal or a design proposal, technology make it feasible. But how to use that technology, that's where the designer's role comes. And
Correct.
that's why the designers is more important, where designers understand the user,
Yes.
understand the space surround that user, and then decide which technology can be used and how
Yes.
it can be used to make
Yes.
it. So that's why when many people are nowadays using this technology, AR, VR, MR, and they are actually doing a lot of work on this.
Right.
The guy who's wearing that HMD, the headset, they are looking for here and then, you're looking back, looking out top and bottom, but they don't know what to do after 45 seconds. It's
Correct.
because there's no narration. So we are actually, as a immersive media design, we are actually focusing on the content. We are also focusing on the principle of design. We are also teaching them user ethnographic research. We are talking about systems thinking. We are talking about data visualization. And with that, the student also go through the learning the software like Unity, Unreal. Also, they have to learn coding, because
Wow.
coding makes you interactivity, and they have to actually do the prototype. So that is the whole crux of this. There's a convergence of technology with design.
I wish I was a student again. There's so much more to learn. It's amazing. We've missed out on all this. Hemant, in your previous real life avatar, you have built a digital services company. If you had to do it again in today's crazy world, what would you change? Is the future of work here today?
Interesting. Yes, and as I term it, we are in an accelerated transition zone right now, the future of work. And I think we need to rethink the way we do business. So, as a tech plus design company, we always had to keep a step ahead and keep up with changes that happen in the world and evolve in response to those changes. And this year has been a watershed year of changes, which will impact the way we travel, work, and relate to other people. If I had to do it again, I think the company I would start would be in response to this new world we are entering. So
Absolutely.
there are two sides of to the business: its offering and its operations. So on the offering side, I would like to move up the value chain and be more of a consulting firm which has impact on more strategic levels. A firm that has a seat on the boardroom, where we would be able to influence the policy as well as experience. This, I think, is extremely important, as the future world I see will rely on online life a lot more than we have ever done before, which will give rise to various problems and unique opportunities for designers. And
Correct.
here is where I would want to make a difference. And the
Yeah.
projects which have meaning and purpose with large scale impact would be my top priority. And
Wow.
on the operations side, a
Mm-hmm.
major restructuring of how we work today, from
Mm-hmm.
office space to staffing and HR policies. These will
Right.
need to be revisited and rounded off with how we actually deliver projects. So I
Totally.
envision smaller office spaces, but
Yeah.
highly tech enabled. So we would end up spending more on infrastructure than we do today, a lot more flexibility to work from home, with the office being a place where team meets when they need to, or just to give people break from their work from home routines. And will I think we are moving toward a gig economy, and it means the flexibility and the opportunity to choose from the best available talents, and
Yeah.
not just our country, maybe the world.
Yeah.
And we would have a large network of experts in various fields, and depending on the needs, we will collaborate with them. And since more interactions would be virtual, we would train people with skills required to work remotely. Like good articulation becomes very important, as you can leave nothing to assumptions. Everything needs to be expressed in very crisp and clear manner in both verbal and written communications. There's also a thing called online etiquette now and your online screen presence. So it's essential when you work with people who you haven't met them before. And so all in all, it would have to be a very smart and agile team, a mix of specialists and generalists, and ready to take on any challenges.
That's fantastic. I think very interesting times. It's a clean slate almost. Everyone's really got to forget about the past and start from scratch. Yeah. Shriya, you've had experience as a visual communication designer for a magazine, as well as now run your own studio. And I believe you use digital technologies and you collaborate a lot to deliver your services. How do you see brands changing the way they use technology?
I think it's safe to say that, today we are facing a very different kind of a digital revolution. With the whole technology advancement kicking in, I think brands today have found a great time and opportunity to actually pause, to evaluate and to rethink the idea of branding altogether. So I think they're definitely getting more adaptive to this new landscape. They want to achieve goals, but they want to do it differently. And most importantly, they have shown very positive signs of, having an appetite for smarter solutions. And it is the urge of, doing something brand new. So whether it is in their communication design or product development or, even marketing for that matter. So we do very extensive work with a few brands who are into fast consumer products. And thanks to this rapid emergence of digital wallets and payment platforms and online marketplaces, I think such brands, they have realized that there is plenty of room to grow, and not just grow but grow innovatively. Right. So I think the benefits of going digital, they are getting well known, but the fact of the matter is that digital is still looked at in isolation. It's not something that will solve a problem on a holistic level. But I think that shift in the mindset is happening now, gradually, but it's happening. And as an agency, we try to play the role of a catalyst, and help position our clients as this forward-thinking change agent, not only to their customers, but even within the company. So, yeah.
That's very interesting. So you're actually participating in catalyzing change and bringing benefits to brands and to your companies. Design does make a difference. It's always heartening to hear these stories. So let's move to expanding the topic a little bit. Let's talk about design for scale and people. So Hemant, information, opinions, facts, debates, news channels. They are the anchors that we have to the world around us, especially in today's world, where you just can't get enough. But in this clamor to get to the masses, there seems to be a lot that's going wrong. What's going on here? Should channels such as maybe social media, Facebook, Twitter, bear some responsibility for the ethical question, or is it all in the realm of designers?
You picked my pet peeve, actually. So I would like to start by, like the great Marshall McLuhan, who once said that medium is the message. And in this case, the message is bad news, literally.
Really?
So the news channels have become opiate for the masses. In the war of TRP ratings, the news channels are competing with Saas-Bahu dramas and violent films. And looks like the way they are competing, it's by actually delivering more drama than news. So in order to get more advertisement space on the TV screens, they have cluttered the layout so much that looks like a busy market scene from a tier 3 city, like full of hoardings and wires and cables going everywhere. So it has become an audiovisual attack on our senses and more so on our design sensibilities.
Yes.
So we were taught to remove noise from the content, but here is noise which has become the content. Now, the biggest competition these guys are facing in catching eyeballs is coming from the small screen in our hands. This small screen is a constant distractor from everything we do, even our busy work schedules. I think we spend maximum time on apps like WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, so that they are now providing us with that screen time reader, like how much time you're spending where.
Yeah.
So, and since it's always online, it's always collecting all the data from us, and it understands our persona better than us.
Yeah.
And this data can be used to manipulate the content consumed by us.
Correct.
And many people don't understand this. We're very innocent here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and Facebook is the best, I mean, any social media firm for that matter, the best human research lab ever. There's
True.
no need to get participants to sign any consent forms. They have already signed the agreed to the site's data use policy, which you have never read. It's like a mile-long 6-point thing to read. So, and you must have watched that film, Social Dilemma on Netflix. And it states that the company has a basic business model of tracking user behavior in order to sell targeted ads and induce addiction in a vicious cycle.
Oof.
It has dramatic scenarios illustrating the negative effects of social media on average citizens. And we also come to know how tech companies have influenced elections, ethnic violence, depression, and suicide.
Yeah.
So there is no question that social media firms have a huge amount of power and that they derive from data and algorithms.
Correct.
Like Spider-Man said, with power comes responsibility.
Yes.
And these firms have a responsibility to do the right thing.
Yes.
Most of the consumers are innocent to the fact that their minds can be manipulated and feel that the social media firms must educate and inform the consumers of that exposure and maintain complete transparency on how they're using data.
Yes.
And I strongly feel that they should self-regulate themselves before the more damage is done.
Correct. I totally, I'm with you on that completely. I do believe they carry a huge responsibility and we've been letting them get away easy. So, Hemant, how do you think that design can intervene to make media and entertainment a better experience?
Yeah, so design is all about understanding humans, and it's not human centric design, then it's not design. So while technology tells us what is possible, we do need to look at design with its participative methods to find out what is desirable and valuable for a sustainable future. Design can play the role of change maker, and it needs to make the changes both from bottom and at the top. At the bottom, it needs to educate people about how the world has changed and how important their data and privacy are. And at the top, we need to work with the policymakers and update the old archaic law and policies, which need a big shift at the vision level to protect the rights of people. And knowing your audience is the number one rule of designing user experiences. However, the empathy we apply as designer must be supplemented and guided by ethics, which I believe is the strongest pillar of design. And for example, you may find it hard to deny, but when you see a small burst of animation inside an interface, you somehow feel good and you may even get a little excited. But why? Why do we like it so much? The answer is dopamine, the chemical that gets released in our brains when we have these experiences, a highly addictive drug. Dopamine is responsible for that yes feeling, that feeling of accomplishment, crossing something off the list, or that feeling of reaching a goal. It feels awesome.
Yeah.
Another example is when you're using a chat app or you get this small text on top, said the X person is typing. And then you're hooked onto that screen till you see that message finally appearing.
Yes.
And all these, another example on OTT platforms, like you watching late night one episode of Breaking Bad or something. At the end, you just don't get a button to click to go to the next episode. You get a timer which shows you like you have just 5 seconds to click to go to the next episode. And if you don't click it, then it will automatically go. that simply is playing with your mind and making you click and go to the next episode and watch it instead of going back to sleep. So
So,
all these are basically designed to keep you addicted.
yeah,
And just that's the power of design.
that's
And
the
these kind
power.
of interactions are designed in response to success metrics that our clients dictate.
Correct.
Increase the engagement time, increase clicks, make audience complete journeys, increase
Yes,
sales. The list is endless. And
correct.
as a service provider, we may find it hard to employ these tactics when we know that there could be adverse long-term effects on the consumer, which is why we should look to make a policy change which would force corporations to have an in-house ethics committee, much like they already have legal and compliance teams. It's our responsibility as designers to also be the voice of the user, not only to represent them in design process, but also to make sure their rights are protected and their experiences are truly enjoyable as well as ethical. By taking into consideration our users' need, we can lead the way in creating cutting edge UX, but also know that we've helped make this world safer, healthier, and more fun as it should be.
I think so. I think design has a huge role to play, but it's interesting to see that we can also, take charge of the dopamine economy from henceforth. Professor Banerjee, with your course on immersive media design, you seem to be leapfrogging students into the future of our industry. Can you tell us how you feel, for example, the healthcare industry, which is under immense strain, or any industry as such will benefit from what you're doing with students? How are the students going to make it useful for society?
Yeah, I think right now when we are talking about pandemic, people are even scared to go to hospitals, unless it is like emergency, they're
Yes.
scared. So in fact, there are in terms of when we're talking about immersive media, there are so many things. It has applications right from health sector, education, simulation like car experience, or even defense simulation, or from the entertainment side, or from the branding promotion. So you can talk about it. You can use the application is there. I will talk about the health sector. In fact, my students, they are actually doing quite a bit of projects which are quite interesting one. I'll tell you one of the project, one girl, she is doing for the inspecting your breast cancer yourself. You don't have to go to the doctor first, but you can inspect yourself. And for that, she had designing augmented reality app. Now this app will actually there are database will be there, and those database actually you can do the machine learning there, and that with that you can see the image detection, and one can figure out whether she has any sign of breast cancer or no. And then again, this app will also guide her to nearby places, which are the clinics are there, to all those guiding for the testing and all that. Not only that, she's also taking it into further that we can use the IoT, and it can be for distantly we can do it. So maybe in the villages and the rural sector also, this can be worked out. So
Yeah.
likewise, another student, she had worked out augmented reality again app, which is for how to give the instruction to for menstrual cup, how to utilize that. So
Yeah.
guiding for that. Same way, there's another guy. He's doing for CBT. Which, a lot of anxiety and distraction is happening nowadays. So when we have a sensors like oximeter and those blood pressure, and also the sensors can detect how your anxiety levels are there, and he is creating a kind of a system which will be like again AR based, where it can be give the guidance on how to your mind can be, make it soothing, and they can inform others, your peer circle. So that will avoid also suicide case and all.
That's
So,
fantastic.
yeah, and then other guy has done something on autism kids, for our autism kids, how we can create create a melody with a gestural, and that gestures can create interesting art forms and music melodies. So those can be used as a therapy.
Right.
So
Fantastic.
I mean,
It's
there are so many things.
It's nice to see that what you're
Yeah.
teaching doesn't have to only be used for gimmicks and fun, but has very practical, real experiences. It's great to see that.
Not at all, not at all. Even we are thinking also how to your Indian marriages can be done virtually. So,
That's good.
with a haptics. So when you shower the flowers, at least you feel the touch.
Fantastic. That's great. Shriya, I'm going to ask you about your studio. How is your studio using digital to help brands reach their customers? What is the relevance of user research? And how has that changed in these times? How do you do user research when you're sitting in your studio and the users are out there?
Yeah, so Shanoo, I think one area that technology has had a tremendous impact on is brand marketing, right? And that is one area where we are working quite extensively for our brands at this point. So, often in the studio, we ask ourselves this question that, what does technology teach us about how to market brands? You know, and the answer is that it is a way, that you use to engage with your customer and not just the means.
Yeah.
And we always say this to our clients, who come to us for an exercise of brand marketing, that it is never really the approach of what kind of a platform that you're working on. It is much more than that. And we are firm believers that technology doesn't just give people a new way of doing things, it actually gives people a new way of thinking, right? So people can carry knowledge, they carry connections with them. So, and we are talking about a global audience, quote unquote, potential customers who are in millions, right? So today, virtually any brand owner, whether you're a large or a small enterprise, you can reach customers and prospects around the world in a huge scale. And I think this is where user research and findings on consumer journey, I think it becomes pivotal while we build our strategies.
Yes.
So constantly trying to redefine the relationship between brands and their customers, paying attention to the small little details, like even Hemant was talking about, those little triggers and little anecdotes, small pieces of information, which we often term as content marketing. Video is another platform, like we are rapidly moving away from text heavy formats. There are more videos and other visualization techniques that are coming in very extensively into AR, VR. So we do provide solutions there. So yeah, these are some of the areas, as an agency, as a studio, that we are looking into.
Wonderful. I think we are quickly coming to the close of the session, so I'm going to just ask one question to all of you. Maybe you all can give me 30-second answers. How do you think designers are dealing with this new reality? Are we doing well as a community? Hemant, why don't you go?
I think digital design, people have no issues because they were always used to working digitally and remotely with clients outside the country. So I think they've taken it really nicely and are producing better work since they don't have to travel and are happy at home, and they're producing much more work. And I think the digital companies are the ones which are making profit in this kind of times. So
Right.
I think we're doing good.
Very good. So digital wins. Shakti, what do you think?
See, my thing is it's not only technology, because we talk about digital, we talk about technology, but it has to be human. That is more important. And how we are using, again, the technology, that is more concern. So I think we are going ahead with that. And a lot of people are appreciating in terms of they're sensitive, becoming sensitive towards it. So that's a good part.
That's great. So that's also positive. Shriya, any negative comment, or is everyone gung-ho and positive today?
No, I think just something that I always tell my designers as well, that we should always uh, make design which is relevant to the context and the circumstances, right? Which means that we need to have the power to reject the redundant. So constantly evaluating your work, because the technology is very, very fast moving, and because of that our preferences are evolving constantly. So that and value addition is another term that you need to stress a lot on, because there is a demand for great and unique design, but creating that extra value is something that will take you long way.
Correct. Okay, so I think as a community, as a sector, design is managing to survive, and in fact in some sectors even thrive. That's very positive and optimistic. And on that note, thank you so much, and thank you to the audience for tuning in. I'll hand over to Shivani.
Thank you, Ms. Bhatia. Thank you so much. Thank you all the speakers for this amazing session and for joining us today. Thank you everyone for as an audience to join us. Please stay tuned for other interesting sessions that we have planned for you. We are signing off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you.